Welcome back to Road Atlanta, as we are moments away from getting this EBC Brakes Superbike class underway. Our race number one for round number one, as fans all over so let's take a look at some of the highlights from qualifying. Jason. And there is Westby Racing's Matthew Schultz with those new electronics on that bike, and new swing arm, by the way. Suitor swing arm.
And they've been doing some testing, Greg, as you know, and they've made some improvements. To see him finish in third in that qualifying session was I think, a big boost for them. Looking at Tony Elias here, ended up second, and I think for most of us, we'd kind of expect him to be up on that front row, second spot, but I didn't expect him to be 0.6 of a second behind this guy. Garrett Gerloff has just been on fire all weekend here at Road Atlanta, and has really just been putting down solid lap after solid lap. And so we'll see if we can turn this first pole position into a victory.
Solid lap after solid lap is crazy. Let's get it down to Hannah, who's on the grid right now.
I'm here with our defending champion, Cameron Beaubier. Cam, obviously you were struggling a little bit and missed out on Super Pole today. Does that change your approach going into this race, starting from this spot on the grid?
A little bit. You know, we don't going into the race. We don't have as many laps as we wanted. But you know, that's racing. That happens. We had a little issue yesterday that put us kind of on the back foot. But we had a really good practice this morning, and yeah, it's a bummer. We're back here in 10th, but yeah, I got a front row show or a front row seat to a good show up there. So we'll see what happens. I'm just gonna try to slot myself in good with these guys and see what happens as the race goes on.
Thanks, Cam. Greg, Jason, do you think Cam can fight his way to the front of this race?
No question, Hannah. Absolutely. It's going to be difficult because you get up into that first sector of the track, up into turn 2, and it gets really one line at the beginning of the lap, Greg. So it'll be hard for him. He's got to get a good launch, try to put himself in a good position up there, and then start doing his work from that spot.
Onboard cameras. This one out the back of Cameron Beaubier. It's going to be interesting if Cameron can work his way back up to the front. We're going to see a lot of riders coming into the frame and get stuck behind him if he can make quick work. He's got 21 laps to do it. Look at our pole sitter, Garrett Gerloff, as he tries to focus. Let's get back down to Hannah.
All right, I'm here with Josh Heron. It looks like he's just getting his helmet situated. Josh, a pretty rough crash for you yesterday. Do you think had you had more time, you would have been able to qualify further forward, and are you happy with your starting position today?
Yeah, I'm happy. You know, we're here, got the bike back together. She just had to show me who's boss, so got the first one out of the way, and now it's just time to go. You know, pumped with how everything's been going with the whole Yoshimura Suzuki team. I'm happy to be here, happy to be factory again, and yeah, we're just gonna go see how the race goes and try and hold on to Garrett for a little while, and then throw some moves in there at the end and see what we can do. Bike's fast today, so I just gotta pull the plug out and go.
Well, best of luck out there. Have fun. Speaking of Garrett Gerloff, why don't we check in with him? It's his first ever pole position of his Superbike career. So let's see how he feels going into today's race. Garrett, it is your first ever pole position. Being with the same team as last year, now that you have a whole season under your belt, how does that boost your confidence going into this first race?
Yeah, for sure, a ton. It's nice having the same group of guys around me like always, and we know how to talk and communicate with each other now, and really made some big strides, big advances in the off season, and it's helped me get here on pole, and hopefully it helps me run up front and maybe take that win in the race. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Thank you, Garrett.
So Garrett Gerloff trying to do 21 laps around Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Let's take a look at this one. 2.55 miles, 8 rights, 5 lefts, built in 1970. A natural road course built in the hillside here in North Georgia, just outside of Brazelton, and it is absolutely spectacular. That is our Dunlop track map. Let's get to Jason Pridmore, who's got our Suzuki hot spots, Jason, because this racetrack is spectacular.
Turn 1, Greg. When you look at the hot spots of this track, you can see down there, turn 1, all the way up to that big hill, to that little kink to the left, and then our guys run to the left side of this, up into those S's. This is turn 1. The reason why it's a hot spot for me is because it heads straight back up a big hill, and it is a prime spot to pass as you get in there. Now, we're going to go down to turn 6. They've gone down through the S's. Now we're going down into turn 6. And that's going to be another prime passing spot, which leads into this turn, turn 7, that leads onto our biggest, fastest straightaway that we have here at Road Atlanta. So this has gone from turn 6 to turn 7, and really you've got to try to get out of here the best you can. A lot of race strategies can play their way through it. As you can see, Tony last year telling Matthew to follow him through, and then we're going to come down into turn 10. This is the biggest, hardest braking spot on the track. It's a place that we can see a lot of crazy action like you see here from a year ago, but it's another spot where you can see people making mistakes. It's a slow corner, but it's coming from the fastest place on the track. As you can see JD run off there during practice earlier this weekend. Down into the last corner, this final turn, these are where all the fireworks came a few years ago between Beaubier and Tony Elias as they came down into that last corner. We saw a little pushing and shoving down there. Expect to see some of that again. I think we're going to have 7 or 8 guys, Greg, at the lead for the first 7 or 8 laps of this race.
Thank you, Jason, for the Suzuki Hotspots. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're inching closer to the start of race number 1 from Road Atlanta, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Road Atlanta. The grid is formed after the warm-up lap. Tony Elias having a bit of an issue getting his bike started. Garrett Gerloff on pole position to number 31. Looks like Tony's ready to go, and we're ready to get this race underway. Matthew Skoltz on the outside of row number 1. Josh Heron, JD Beach, and Jake Lewis not in grid position. Looks like he's on the back of the grid. Here we go. Lights go off. Race number 1. Superbike is underway, and a great launch from your pole sitter.
And how about JD Beach? JD Beach is going to lead into turn 1, it looks like, Greg, with Garrett Gerloff right by him. Jake, looks like Josh Heron's going to slot himself right in. He's going to move himself up into second. JD Beach, straight from his Super Sport Championship, jumps on this attack. R1 and is leading off the bat, Greg. This is going to be good to see. Josh Heron looks like Garrett Gerloff is sitting third right now. Elias and Skoltz round out your top 5 early.
Been a long time since JD Beach has raced in the Superbike class. And I'll tell you what, I can't remember a time when he actually led one, but JD Beach is doing it right now on the Attack Performance Estenson Racing. And here comes Josh Heron under braking on the Yoshimura Factory Suzuki bike. He'll take over the lead for the moment.
And how about Heron's following his bike from last year right off the bat? There was so much discussion between these two riders this year of who's going where, what's going to happen. Is Heron going to the Yosh? What's going to happen with JD? JD didn't even look like he was going to be in our series. And now they're both racing against each other right at the front. And JD is deep in the draft of that Yoshimura Suzuki as they head down into turn 10. For the first time, Garrett Gerloff and Tony Elias have closed back up onto the back of these guys. There's a 5-rider breakaway already. Cameron Beaubier has got himself from the 4th row up to 6th. A perfect first lap for him, and now he's got clear track in front of him to try to go after these guys.
Beaubier down into the final corner. He'll get on the gas, trying to close the gap. Credited with the first lap lead is going to be Josh Heron on that newly unwrapped Yoshimura Suzuki Superbike ride.
Almost a perfect start for the two guys in first and second as far as what they wanted their season to become. And you heard Heron say he's going to do everything he can to hang on to the back of Garrett Gerloff. Well, I feel that there's at least going to be 4 or 5 guys this year. And Cameron Beaubier right now is going to have trouble. Let's see if he can try to make up that gap, Greg. I thought he would have made up a little bit more through those S's than he has already. The gap at the line between Skoltz and Beaubier was 2.2 seconds, so we're going to keep an eye on that. But right now we have 5 guys tied at the front.
Number 2, Josh Heron on that blue and red Suzuki. New livery for this year. You can see the black on the lower fairing. Really makes it stand out. Right behind him, JD Beach on the 95, 31-year pole sitter Garrett Gerloff. Looks like 24, Tony Elias, 2017 Series champ. Might have a look on Gerloff. Can't get that Suzuki around him. Second time hard braking into turn 10A.
Here comes Garrett.
Gerloff will do it.
Really good move there, Greg. He looks so good coming down the hill. Even though the bike looks like it gets out of shape, the front profile of that tire still is staying dead straight. Even when he tips in, he looks so confident. Now here comes Tony as he takes a look down the inside of JD Beach. They come into turn 12 there. He gets past him. Matthew Skoltz with the quickest lap of the race, and they actually pulled away that lap from Cameron. Did this lead 5 guys. Now this is where it's going to be really good for JD Beach. He hasn't raced Superbike. All 4 of these guys in front of him have got at least a year or 2 under their belts. Garrett was his first year last year. Now JD can go and really see where his where he needs to make up time, where he's losing it. And you can see just up to the top part of that JD lost just a little bit.
And a really good, valuable information for Richard Stamboli and his crew because they missed. Remember, last year, Josh Heron was on that JD Beach bike, but the truck didn't make it. And so there was no data on this particular motorcycle with those electronics from last year. So valuable data gathering going on right now for that team.
Yeah, the guy at the front was racing a stock bike here last year. And you can see now, Cameron Beaubier goes 33.4 to run the fastest first split. So maybe he had a problem in the first split of the last lap because now he's coming.
It looked like for a moment there that Garrett Gerloff needs a lot of roll speed, needs corner speed in order to do the lap times.
Here it comes, Greg.
Is his motorcycle raceable? This is what he and I talked about. Can he get down there on the brakes over Heron? Heron's got the inside line, but Gerloff gets it stand up. No, Heron's going to take the advantage for the moment. A good aggressive move for Gerloff. Like I was saying, Jason, they need a lot of roll speed. He likes the corner speed and get the bike upright. He's very smooth on the throttle now, Gerloff.
Well,
a different setup in the way they ride for Josh Heron, who likes to get on those brakes aggressively like his teammate Tony Elias.
Well, the thing is, right? Oh, Garrett Gerloff goes down in turn 1, Greg.
Oh, no, and into the air fence he goes. Gerloff with a big ride. Is that over that bump that we see in
There's
turn
a bump
1?
down there, and, you know, I don't even know what to say. I'm so bummed for him. He's just been riding perfect all weekend long. That has allowed also 24.8 for Cameron Beaubier. Can't take anything away from him. Looks like, hopefully Garrett's okay there. What an absolute shame that was to see that. But Beaubier has clawed his way, and he's got on the back of these guys running 24.8 on his second flying lap.
So Gerloff shifts down. Let's take a look at the replay, Jay.
Let's have a look, Greg, and see if he does hit that bump that you're talking about. Because we did talk about this and how that bump has gotten a little bit worse. The bike backs in a little bit, and it looks like it just maybe went over that bump and had the front brake lever on tipping in, and it was just enough to tuck the front.
Now Yoshimura Suzuki takes over the 1 and 2 spots as Tony Elias in second spot. Now going after his new teammate, Josh Heron. JD Beach holding on to third on the 95 on that, I don't know what you call that, the gold and black number 11 is Matthew Schultz on the Westby Racing. And then Cameron Beaubier, your national champ, who missed Super Pole and was actually 11th on the grid, not 10th like I had said earlier. Started 11th, so the middle of row number 4 has worked his way onto the back end of this group.
Now, Matthew just had a look over his shoulder. Here comes Tony as they go down into turn 1. He turns it up underneath his teammate to take the lead. And see if these two guys could work together a little bit down the back straightaway. But Matthew Schultz had a look over his shoulder and saw the big number 1 of Cameron Beaubier closing in, sees that he's got company there. He wanted to see who that +0 was to, and it is the defending champ.
Of course, we know from 2018, Tony Elias opened up the season with a bunch of wins. And then when we got to Road America around number 4, Dunlop introduced that new big rear tire, and Tony fell off a bit. There's obviously Garrett Gerloff, who's up and okay, walking away from that incident.
That was a big crash. I mean, he tumbled pretty heavily in that gravel, so hopefully nothing got tweaked too bad there.
But Jason, talking to Daisuke, who is the crew chief for Tony Elias, one of the big changes they were able to make was a redesigned rear linkage. The link is what kind of, it controls the rate of the swing arm to the shock, and Tony was able to get more rear grip as Josh Heron's going to try to draft him. Tony with a look over his shoulder and sees the number 2 go by with that Venom helmet of Tony Elias's, looking aggressive. Heron doesn't care. He'll take it for the moment, and this race is on here at Road Atlanta.
Now you can see Tony was pretty relaxed when Heron went by him. He kind of looked down at something on his dash there, it looked like. And really impressed with Matthew Schultz as well right now, just kind of sitting there in fourth. As you can see, these guys headed off into turn 1. But Tony has a look over his shoulder.
Let's see who's there in a hand, just an eyeful of JD Beach.
Now, well, all these guys, I think Heron was just in front, wasn't he? So Heron doesn't probably know that Gerloff is out. Probably doesn't know that, maybe, unless it was on his board.
Yeah,
so
or unless he saw the bike down when he went by.
Could have, yeah. That when they came around the lap later, maybe yellow flags. But as of right now, he's doing his best to just try to break this group up a little bit. JD's kind of settled into third. Schultz is fourth. And this guy, now he's back there. See how patient Cameron's being right now? Just being pretty patient. Knows that there's a lot of laps left in this race. There's no reason to wear equipment out now that you've caught him.
We just got word that Tony Elias is under investigation for possibly passing under a yellow flag, lap 5, turn number 1. If that's the case, we're going to find out if there's a penalty for the 2017 Series champ. But back up front we go. So Tony trying to make a move in turn 10. He'll do it for the moment. Oh, man, he almost ran off. He was so deep.
You know, he was so tight, though, that it looked like he ran over some. It looked like it was a little bit bumpy down the inside of there. And looked like he probably had to release the brake there. Here comes Matthew Schultz. He goes underneath JD Beach. Turn 12, nice and clean. He's trying to go forward right now.
What a race for this team as they got the Magneti Morelli system just a couple of months ago. And have been working so hard, this crew, to get this thing dialed in. As Beach, not great speed into turn 1 as Beaubier sniffing the back of him. I don't know, Jay, it just seems that Beaubier's got to start picking his way up, or there's a chance for Josh Heron to start eking away from this group.
I think Cameron is sitting right where he wants to sit right now.
Okay.
He's got a good view of everything. There's Garrett Gerlach. Just feels so bummed for him, and it's all right. He's going to come back tomorrow. He'll be fine. But, you know, you're right, though, Greg. I mean, if Cameron starts seeing the group getting spread up too much, he's going to do something. But he's just kind of, I think, hanging out there right now. You saw the lap he did. He did a 24.8. Now he's doing 26 flat. The leaders are doing 25.9, 26 flat. I think he's capable of more, and he's not just going to wear out equipment to try to get up there and do that. But if those Yoshimura bikes start pulling away any more than they are, you might start to see him wanting to get there. JD Beach drafts back past Schultz as they head down the back straightaway. They come down into this turn 10 area. Let's see if Matthew's able to get back underneath him. Nope, JD's late on the brakes there, but you're right now, Greg. Those two Yosh bikes are starting to just peel away a little bit.
Just kind of had that feeling that lap ago. Now we see these 3 Yamahas starting to fight it out amongst themselves. And this is the dream for Yoshimura Suzuki. This is why they hired Josh Heron after his performance toward the end of last season, really during the entire season. What a difference 1 year makes, Jason, for Josh Heron, as he will relegate the lead, but he's going to try to get it back. He did crash in turn 2 right here. Oh, man, you
so
can see
close.
him sit up there for a second, didn't you?
Yep,
that was where he crashed
right.
earlier today.
Well, I'm sure he's cognizant of that a little bit, too. He doesn't want to be fully leaned over when he gets to the crest of that hill. And if he does, he doesn't want to be pulling on the brake lever too much. But see, when those two guys do that, you see how the gap's closed down now? So when you pass somebody, unless you can make it clean, you can either create a gap or, in JD's case now, they've made it easier for him to close the gap. So these guys, I think, really, as teammates, especially so early in the race, if you could draft and repass each other down the straights, it's fine. When you start messing with each other in the corners, it's going to make things a little bit harder to pull away from the other 3. These
are the largest displacement motorcycles MotoAmerica has to offer. 1,000cc super bikes making over 200 horsepower, and right there, they peak out at around 185 miles per hour as Tony Elias tries to get his bike slowed down in turn 10 to take over the lead. A little wide again. Heron's going to cut underneath him with a good drive up and over the hill. He's got about a quarter bike length, and he'll take it over. Heading into the final corner.
Gotta wonder, here comes Cameron just trying, that's the first shot we've seen from Cameron to Matthew. But I gotta wonder if Tony thinks he's got pace or something, Greg, where he feels like he can get away a little bit. As they come down into turn 1 again, it's still Heron leading the way. It goes up over those bumps, and it definitely unsettled it just a little bit. Tony has a look over his shoulder. Tony might feel like he's got pace and wants to try to get through and lead a solid lap down through the S's or something. Josh Heron, big movement. Right as you come out of there, you're changing foot placement to get that bike short shifted into 3rd gear from that right to that next left before you come down the hill. And sometimes the bike can get just a little out of shape, and I feel like that's what we saw just then with Josh, who so far is riding really well.
Amazing.
And there's nothing wrong with him turning it back up under his teammate on the edge of the corners. I mean, if the guy goes by you and you can turn it back underneath him safely, it's good. And you can see Tony turn 7 again, goes up underneath Josh. Josh probably going to get a pretty good run. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow JD Beach now to get a double bike draft down the back straightaway.
2 factory Suzukis against a privateer Yamaha of JD Beach. Richard Stamboli working on that thing. You can see the onboard camera. You know, as Josh goes into turn 10A, Tony Elias he's looking around a lot.
He has a look down at something, and you can see now JD Beach has got a run on him. as they come up over the top. But the two Yosh bikes out in front right now are kind of slowing each other up. I feel like it's one of those things where, yeah, we're racing and we need to see dicing, but first race of the year. No animosities yet, I don't think. So
You see that bump? You see that bump?
that bump's gotten pretty big down
See
there.
the
in
rear
turn
end's
one.
coming
Yes,
right
for
off
sure.
the ground on that bump. Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, to play into what you just said, Jason, a 24.8 by Cameron Beaubier on lap 3. These guys are doing 26.2s, and you can see that they did have a bit of an advantage, and now they're all bunched up.
Yep, and Cameron has jumped himself up a spot, so he's just going to keep himself a little bit closer. I saw JD about 2 weeks ago. Was it last weekend? They were doing a little bit of last-minute testing at Chuck Wall, and he came over to the garage afterwards and said, all right, so tell me where things are at. Are we battling for race wins at the beginning? And he looked at me and he honestly said, Jay, give me like a couple of rounds, maybe 3 rounds, and I think that we can be there. Well, he's right there right now at the beginning, and I think this is something that we all expected from him this year. He's got a busy year with dirt tracking and so on. Great to see Estenson Racing getting involved with Attack Performance and Richard Stamboli. And JD's doing the business already.
12 laps to go. Leading the way, Josh Heron. In his debut race for Yoshimura Suzuki, right behind him his teammate, Tony Elias, is trying to stay in tow. I say trying to stay in tow because there's a couple spots as Elias gets out of shape coming over the top of the hill. Then there's JD Beach on that Attack Performance, Estenson Racing Yamaha, Westby Racing Yamaha in 5th place. So the factory bike on the Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha factory machine of Cameron Beaubier in a sandwich right now. And Suzuki putting on a display at the Suzuki Championship at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And I'm just so impressed with what I see from Josh Heron because after his big tumble, you should have seen his leathers.
Really
Jason.
good. But
Those Alpine Star leathers had holes burned in them and not a mark on Josh Heron's body.
That's great.
And I say that only because I walked into the trailer, all right, and his shirt was on.
We don't need to know, G-Dub.
I'm
Keep
just saying.
keep little secrets.
So here we go. We're working lap. Well, we're just about the halfway point of this race at the moment. Turn 7, Tony Elias.
He's going to have another go, isn't he?
He's
Yep.
You know, it's just why there. You really need a great drive on that long back straightaway, and I know he's just roughing him up a bit. And he's giving him the signal.
He wants to lead. He really wants to lead. And I don't think, and he goes back. I know he goes into first gear for that turn, and you can see Heron's going to try to go up underneath him, and he does. I don't think tapping the back works for Josh. I think he wants to go to the front. He wants to lead. Now Cameron Beaubier is starting to do a little bit of his job, and he's seeing, okay. Oh, there we go. Josh Heron down.
Oh, no.
Yep, Josh Heron down at the end of the back straightaway.
Oh, what an absolute heartbreaker.
Hopefully he's up and okay. He's up.
Josh Heron up and walking towards the motorcycle.
That's going to be, Greg, the thing is when you draft, what does it do when you draft?
Sucks you in.
It increases speed. When it increases speed. Now, look, he has tons of experience doing that, but it can catch you out so easily. And when we know there's some bumps down there at the end of that back straightaway, it's very easy to do. He just got in there a little bit too fast and just
That's too much of that front tire.
Just a little bit too much. And you can see such a bummer for Josh.
I think that's more disappointment than
I
anything
agree.
for Heron
Hopefully.
in that gravel trap. Hopefully,
Yep,
yeah,
hopefully
exactly.
he's not hurt too bad.
Exactly. That's going to move our boy Beaubier,
There we go.
our national champ, into second spot on the racetrack as well.
It's just that it doesn't look like it's wanting to start.
Here comes Cam.
There you go.
Into turn number 6, Cameron Beaubier takes over the lead from Tony Elias. And here's where it gets dangerous for the rest of the competitors. With no one in front of him, Cameron Beaubier can do some really impressive lap times. Tony Elias knows that he's got to throw a shot right back at Cam Beaubier if he's going to have a chance at this one.
Well, we said this morning in our Super Bowl coverage that Cameron has had a tendency the last couple of years to give some points. So far, he's showed such a tremendous amount of patience in this race, sitting behind these guys. He's very well aware of what the pace was and what he's capable of doing. And I'm sure you can see Heron getting pushed away there or walking away. I'm sure when Tony saw Heron go down, he probably thought, all right, I'm a little bit in the clear. And then here comes the big number 1 plate coming up right behind him. And it'll be interesting to see how these two work together and if they're capable of pulling away from the other two. And we have 2 basic battles for the podium here. Tony's going to go tight as they go down into turn 1.
Yep.
Cameron's going to let him through. Now, Tony, see if he can keep it tight. Tony keeps it tight on the exit. So that's just a good, smooth, solid pass.
You can see all the black marks heading at the top of turn number 1. Those are Superbikes just spinning, leaving Dunlop rubber on the racetrack.
Did you see that?
I
Tony
did.
looked like he lost the front in that right-hander. Both feet looked like they had come off the peg, or at least the outside foot came off the peg. And that, again, what does it do, Greg? He rolls out of it just a little bit, and it's going to allow those other guys to catch back up.
So hold your breath. Oh, looks like JD
JD
Beach
had a
is
run.
going to make a move. Oh, man,
He
I
had a
thought he was
run.
going for it.
Yeah,
All right, so now onto this back straightaway through turn 7. Can Beaubier get good roll speed, get the motorcycle upright on the power? He drives out. And there he goes down the back straightaway.
Yeah.
Can he get in the draft of that Suzuki? Let's see what kind of legs. It's factory Suzuki versus factory Yamaha at the moment. At the kink, there's some work that can be done, but no, it looks like we're going to fall into a line. So it's going to be Elias, Beaubier, JD Beach, and Matthew Skultz. Let's get down to Hannah.
All right, guys, I have a very disappointed Garrett Gerloff with some ripped up leathers. You were riding really well there until you weren't. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know from the outside, but at least for me, I felt like I was, I went to my normal braking marker, but Heron slows down a little bit more than I do for turn 1, and just kind of wasn't necessarily expecting it. So I just grabbed a little bit more brake lever than I normally do into 1, and there's a big bump right there, and I just hit the bump and it tucked, and it's disappointing because I know I have the speed and I know I can be right there and fight with those guys. I need to make it, I need to make it more than a couple laps. It seems like every time I'm there, something happens, but anyway, no, I feel good. I still feel confident for tomorrow's race, and I want to win bad. So yeah, we'll see if we can make it happen tomorrow.
Well, rest up, and we're glad you're all right. Thank you, Garrett.
All right, 2017 Supersport champ, loves to win, and he wants to get back on the top of the box.
Hey, Garrett, do not get your head down. You're riding amazing right now, and it was a simple mistake, and it can happen. And yes, sometimes you can get caught out in the excitement and the adrenaline that's going as you head down there into turn 1. So, and it's a feel-out process of racing against guys, first race of the year, that type of thing. You see Tony runs a little bit different line down there. He got in a little deep, Greg. It's going to allow Cameron to cut it back underneath him. And here we go down into turn 12 again. These guys have had some issues in the past. But that all started back in 10A. Tony ran a little wide in 10A and it allowed Cameron to cut up underneath him. But Tony goes blasting back by him down that front straightaway.
That wasn't a great drive from Cam Beaubier or a supreme drive.
He went in there a little bit tight, Greg, into 12. And that's going to, it makes the radius of that corner a little bit harder when you go in as tight as he did. But so Tony was able to cut it back up underneath him.
So Tony Elias, number 24. Oh, Beaubier.
Beaubier had the same thing happen to him there that Tony had happened to him a lap or 2 before. So there's obviously, they're jumping the paint there. They're going over that curbing. And if you're still got a lot of lean angle when you hit one of those bumps over that curbing, sometimes it can get the chassis a little bit sideways on them through the front, and that's what you're seeing.
Beaubier not 100%. Some stitches in his arms from a motocross accident he had. A little bit of a hole in his arm. So nothing he says really affects him a lot. But you know as well as I do, Jason, when you hit those bumps and feet come off, you got to grab the bars harder than you ever have. So I'm sure a little bit of a wincing pain. So our top 4, Tony Elias, 24, number 1, Cameron Beaubier, number 95, JD Beach, number 11, Matthew Skultz, David Anthony on the Kawasaki back in 5th spot. Look at the left part of your screen there. Kyle Wyman in 6th. Jake Gagne down to 7th spot. What an incredible run for him. Cam Peterson in 9th, Jeff May in 10th. And of course, Josh Heron and Garrett Gerloff out of this one.
Yeah, we've been so wrapped up in this tremendous battle at the front.
So
to
much
see
great
Dave
stuff
Anthony
going on.
running 5th place is great. And how about Kyle Wyman, 6th? First run on that Ducati. And just making headway all the way around. Jake Gagne, we know, still a little bit busted up. Doing a good job on that BMW, though, as well.
Hard to take our eyes off this lead battle, as it's been Tony Elias fighting off the attacks of his teammate Josh Heron with his early exit, as well as Garrett Gerloff. And Cameron Beaubier, coming from 11th on the grid, worked his way all the way up to the front, has led at times, but now starting to lose a little.
It's starting to happen right now, Greg. The two guys now are going to start to try to drop their pace. And I think, just looking at Cameron's position and how it just doesn't look like he's too worried right now. He knows that he's still got some laps left, but what it's going to do is it's going to allow these two to kind of get out front a little bit more. And then 33.6, that's Tony's fastest first split of his personal best. So he's trying to drop the hammer a little bit right now, but you can see now they've created just a little bit of a gap back to JD and Matthew there in that battle for 3rd and 4th. And the Yosh bike looks fast down the back straightaway.
It certainly does.
Yes.
This would be quite a storied start to the 95's rejuvenated Superbike career. It's been many years since he was on a Kawasaki Superbike. and then spent a lot of time in super sport, winning national championships. And this rider right here,
Matthew Skolt's riding great.
Riding great, and incredible what the crew's been able to do. Superbike is a lot about electronics. It's not all about electronics, but it is a lot about it. And his crew getting that magnetic relay system just a couple months ago and putting him in a position where he could possibly finish on the podium is incredible on that West Beach Racing team. Bobier is not giving up just yet with 5 laps to go.
I think what you're seeing is Cameron's just kind of sizing himself up again of where and when he wants to start to make a run at Tony.
Yeah, because it didn't feel like he tried it and he couldn't get away from Tony.
Right.
So if Tony wants to lead, let him.
And I think it's going to be something that's going to happen late. I think Cameron kind of feels like he might be able to be getting drafted down the back straightaways. He's getting close and just throwing my theory completely out the window right now. but I feel like Cameron is just kind of sitting on the back of Tony right now and just kind of waiting and kind of planning out his move. These guys have a lot of laps against each other. Tony's going to know what that +0 means, and he knows who's behind him. Let's see what Cameron has here down the back straightaway, Greg. You can see it doesn't really look like he has the steam to really draft Tony, does it? I mean, kind of maybe in the late gears, 5th and 6th gear, he can do something. But that's the first little size up. He just had a little look, kind of see where Tony's braking, and he can do that for another couple of laps still before the end of it.
Slight difference on the tire choices. They both have the extra soft Dunlop rear on the back.
Yep.
Tony has the harder compound, which is, I believe, a soft tire front here, where Cameron's running the extra soft on the front.
Okay.
Could be just the fact that, just that soft tire versus the extra soft that Tony has gives him a little bit more stability under very hard braking, which is a characteristic of Tony, where the extra soft tire, Cameron tells me, gives him a little bit more flow through the corners than he likes.
No, there's no question. There's definitely a little bit of a riding style difference between these two. And then you have somebody like Garrett that's even more of a flowing type of guy. You look at the guys up in the front, everyone's got their own little differences. And then you have JD, who's trying to change his style. And here's a great look, Kyle Wyman. I know there's been a lot of hype around social media around this guy. He just comes off winning the Daytona 200. Works, I don't even know how, like I said, I don't know how he gets all the work that he gets done. But he's doing such a good job right now, running in 6th place. There you go, Tony knows now. Okay, we got a gap on 3rd and 4th. Is it gonna happen in turn 12 again this year?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I think Cam's gonna give him a shot in 10.
He's looking right now. I mean, he is literally looking right now. There you go. There's the shot you're talking about. And moves over a little bit, but gives Tony plenty of room.
Still decent pace, 25.4, 24.8, the fastest lap of the race. So this is not a pedestrian pace by any stretch of the imagination.
There you go.
This
Turn
is
12.
Tony.
Is he going to keep it turned?
Oh, whoa!
All right, that right there, though, that's a mistake on Tony. That's what that is. That is nothing else, and he'll be the first guy to tell you when he's done, yep, I made a mistake. He was trying to take a shot at Cameron because I think Cameron has pace, Greg. He's already showed that he can run 24, what did he run, 24.8?
Yep.
And I think that Cameron was sitting there, and he kind of made a decision that I'm going to try to go and do something here. And this is them coming down into turn 10, just like you had called. He was going to take a shot on him down there. And Tony has a great run on him and probably just wants to try to make this pass. He can see Cameron tipping in and knows he can't make it. I'm looking to see, you're looking at the same thing I am at the shifter.
Yep.
Tony did an incredible job, by the way, just keeping this bike upright.
Moto crossing.
Really, really did a great job keeping that bike upright.
Those slicks have zero traction, by the way, in the gravel.
Look at all the gravel
and
going
he's still
everywhere.
on the gas.
He's still on the gas trying to get back out there. But now, this guy coming from 11th, we've seen some other guys make mistakes today that Cameron has made in the past to give people points. And right now.
And look at JD.
Yeah, JD running second.
So what we thought was going to be, or in the early stage of this race, a Suzuki Superbike runaway in the EBC Brakes Superbike class. Now all of a sudden, it's Yamaha 1, 2, 3. Yeah, with Suzuki in 4th and Kawasaki in 5th.
You see all that, you see the debris flags. That's going to be big rocks and pebbles. You don't want to be behind one of these Superbikes when that gets thrown up at you. And Tony's not out of this battle yet for the podium. With 2 to go, Matthew Skoltz is going to have his mirrors full here in a second as far as Tony coming up behind him. So just a matter of how much tire Matthew has on. I don't know if he can actually draft Tony down the back straightaway, but I feel like Tony's probably going to do some drafting of his own.
Ignore the left part of your screen because JD Beach was able to come across the line in second spot, so must be just a hiccup with his transponder. You can see that the 95 is still well placed there.
Yep.
We don't see any penalty for him.
No, and it is just a little bit. We got Schulte in second right now, which isn't necessarily the case. You got JD Beach is running second, Cameron Beaubier first, and there goes Tony. He goes up underneath Schulte as they roll down into turn 6. And I'll tell you right now, for Tony, it's great. He's going to get these third place points. It could have been really easy for him to fall over there in that gravel.
Ooh, little bit from the rear tire.
Did you see the gravel still coming out of the belly pan?
Yeah.
There was gravel still coming out of Tony's belly pan as they came out of turn 7.
It hurts. If it comes
That
off
stuff
that
hits
bike
you.
at 185 miles an hour and hits you, it hurts.
You
I don't care.
believe-
Leathers, chest protector on. Down to turn 10, Elias.
And the noise it makes when it hits your helmet. You can see Schultz got in there just a little bit deep.
Yeah.
Tony hasn't got his eye out yet, but he still might be able to get second. We'll see how close he can get to JD. Cameron's going to come across the line now. Look at his pit board and see what, +2, Greg?
Yep.
+3.
White flag flies. So for Cameron Beaubier, he's got to navigate one more lap. JD Beach in second.
JD's is close, Greg. I mean, we'll see how close it's going to be before they get down to that back straightaway. But Tony's probably going to just try to rip through these S's the best he can. If he salvages 20 points here, I think you're going to see a really happy guy.
JD Beach back on a super bike, a lot more mature on a super bike. Remember, when he had his run at the Kawasaki years ago, he started off the year at Daytona on a 600. Eric Bostrom was actually the pilot for Attack on the Kawasaki. Eric Bostrom decided after race 1 to retire, and they handed the super bike to a very young JD Beach.
Yeah, that's
now
right.
with a lot more years under his belt.
A lot more years. He's done such a good job. Both these guys are going to be happy. Tony's going to be elated with second place now if he can somehow go by JD down this back straightaway and hold him off through the last bit. And JD's going to be pretty happy with the podium himself. As you can see, too, they are catching a back marker. Let's see what JD does here. He moves over to the right to try to make Tony go by on the left, which, he's not able to do it, Greg. If JD can get into this last corner, turn 10,
Tony's going
really
for it.
good.
Tony's going for it. He snaps the rear end, though. He's going to have to think better of it, but lap traffic in the way. So JD's in command right now as Cam Beaubier is heading towards the checkered flag. Tony trying to get a drive. Here comes Cam down the hill. It looks clean. He's going to accelerate, head towards start-finish line. From 11th to the win, Cam Beaubier, race number 1, victorious. To the line they come, and it will be Tony Elias.
Oh, man, Tony got him at the line.
Well, that's what our timing and scoring says, but we don't know for the moment. We will double-check and check it for you because we saw that coming across the line, but it could be JD Beach. We'll check this in just a second. They do have transponders on the bikes. That are,
here you go, Greg.
Here
Big
we go.
battle coming up over the top of the hill. Jake Lewis, who started dead last and looked like he had a problem at the start, is now caught the back of Kyle Wyman. He's got by Gagne. Wyman, in his debut on that Ducati, is going to finish, looks like 6th. Yeah, 6th place, Greg. We got a little bit with our timing and scoring right now, but wow.
Amazing. What a race. What a job. By Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha's Cameron Beaubier, wearing the number 1 plate for a reason. The 3-time champ. What a race he had. I can't wait till he gets into Victory Circle to talk to Hannah Lopa because it's going to be so interesting to see how well he managed this race and managed his expectations and was able to manage that urgency of trying to get up front because he just looked like he did a great job. JD Beach on the podium in his first Superbike race. I can tell you that after yesterday's qualifying 1 in the wet and then qualifier 2 where JD was 5th, I went and talked to him, and I just had not seen him so pumped.
Really happy, was he?
Yeah, JD Beach couldn't thank his crew enough for the way that they were able to test her in this offseason. Richard Stamboli put 0 expectations on the number 95, and we have confirmation. It is Beaubier. Tony Elias looks like it's 2nd spot. No, we still don't have that yet, so just ignore what I'm saying on this one. We'll get this whole thing sorted out here. But Cameron Beaubier.
We do know Cameron won, so we do know that for fact.
For sure.
Like
what a save, though, by Tony. What a save. And you know what, Jason? It's race 1.
Oh, yeah.
Do I talk about championship? Of course I do.
He's gonna be happy with that. Let's have a look at this here. You can see Cameron Beaubier coming across the line. And the battle behind, there's a little bit of traffic there, and it's caused JD to go to the right, and wow, from right here, it's just so hard to tell. Just so hard to tell.
That
almost
was
it's hard to see.
Yeah, from that angle, looked like
Almost
JD.
looked like
but,
JD, didn't it? It looked like JD was second there. So,
but we'll see
they're
once they
putting
roll
Tony
him
over
into
in
here.
2nd, but
So Tony Elias getting congratulations. As I was saying before, though, Jason, I mean, you never know the collection of 20 points or 4th place versus 13. Tony never gave up. That 7 points could make a world of difference at the end of the season.
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about it, too, he was off in the gravel, and it could have ended with no points.
Yeah.
Really, really easy, like you say.
What a save.
And the fact that, whether it's 2nd or 3rd, he's going to still be able to walk out of here with a handful of points. No question how many points this guy's walking away with today. He's got to be really happy with that ride. Rode amazing. And, like you say, he's got a hole in his arm. You can see Richard Stamboli in the background there.
So Lee holding on to that bike for him. Cameron Beaubier, I think, not that it's disbelief, but I think he's got to be very proud of his performance today and what he was able to accomplish.
Yeah, no question.
We're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. On the other side, we're going to hear from Cam Beaubier, the winner of this race here at Road Atlanta. Today's coverage is brought to you by EBC Brakes, the official sponsor of the 2019 MotoAmerica Superbike Series. Well, welcome back to Victory Circle and Parc Ferme, where we have confirmation that JD Beach did finish 3rd by about half a wheel length. So his transponder, we were told, actually went down during that race. Don't know if it was maybe the battery or something happened with his transponder, and that's why there was a bit of confusion. But it's going to be Cameron Beaubier, Tony Elias, JD Beach, Matthew Skultz, and David Anthony on that
What a
Kawasaki.
stud. David Anthony. I love it. I love it.
Only 24 seconds behind the leaders. He was able to finish just ahead of Kyle Wyman on the Ducati. Welcome back, Ducati, to MotoAmerica Superbike Racing. Jake Lewis, who had to start on the back of the grid because he wasn't able to make the sighting lap. He was able to work his way on the M4 XR Suzuki up to 7th spot. Jake Gagne, who's barely walking on the BMW, was able to finish in 8th. And Cam Peterson back in Superbike in 9th. Jeff May in 10th. Max Flinders with a pile of points in 11th.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I mean, there's a couple guys there. Kyle Wyman, Jake Lewis. Jake had some big issues at the beginning of this race. So for him to get himself back up there and fight for 7th, Gagne had himself up ahead of Wyman. I saw him chasing Dave Anthony in that race. Just kind of wondering what, if it was a tire thing or what it might have been. But you can see the difference in times here.
As timing and scoring gets corrected, we found out JD Beach did his fastest lap of the race at 25.6 at the end. The margin between Tony Elias and JD Beach will officially be in the books as 1/1000th of a second. Let's get down to Hannah, who has our race winner. What a performance by Cameron Beaubier.
Our defending champion, Cam, you fought your way from 11th on the grid to the win. There was a lot going on in front of you. Tell us a little bit about what you were seeing out there.
Yeah, that was definitely a pretty wild race. I did not expect to win that, especially after the day we had yesterday. We had a little issue in practice that didn't let us get in the top 9 for Super Pole, and I knew today was going to be pretty tough. But my guys worked really hard over the night and gave me an awesome bike for this morning and the race. Practice went really good this morning, and we only had 25 minutes on the track this morning before the race, well, because I didn't get to do Super Pole. But yeah, my bike was just working so awesome in the race. I slowly started picking a couple of people off there at the beginning, and I saw it was a really big bummer that Garrett crashed in the first corner because he had some really, really good speed in practice and qualifying. He's been ripping, and all off season too. So I hope he's okay. And yeah, I was kind of looking up the track a little bit. I saw Tony and Heron kind of bashing off each other, passing each other, pretty closely and stuff like that. And it was pretty wild. It was pretty cool to watch. And I think that was good for me because I was able to slot myself up with those guys a little bit. And man, those guys are tough to pass. The Superbike class is stacked this year. So yeah, I just want to give it up to my Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha team. They're behind me 100%. And yeah, ready to get going on tomorrow.
Now go a little more in depth for me about Racing with Tony, once you caught up to him, you were battling a little bit. Were you watching for where and how you were going to make a pass on him to try and take over the lead?
Yeah. Obviously, Tony, he's an incredible racer, incredible on the brakes, an incredible competitor. He was really good in the last section, and it was strange because I felt like that was my strong suit the last couple of years, and it kind of flip-flopped on me. So if he didn't run wide, I definitely had to. I was going to have my hands full the last couple laps. I don't know what would have happened, but I was happy that I made a step on the hard braking zones, especially this off season, and we found a little something in the R1, and that's where I've been struggling really bad the last couple years. So like I said, hats off to my guys, Bill, Alpine Stars, for keeping me safe, the man above. And yeah, like I said, it's going to be a really tough year with all this competition, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Congratulations to our race winner, defending champion Cameron Beaubier.
Well, you can definitely hear in his voice, Greg, how hard it is these races are going to be, and he was planning his race. The thing I find really funny about that is he was for him personally, he's loving watching Josh and Tony battle each other like they were, because it was actually keeping the pace manageable for him, sitting behind JD and Matthew for as long as he did. As you can see here, he was able to just kind of get into that draft, just a little bit of it as he ducked out to the left going down into turn 10, a spot that he said in years past was a good place for him. Tony just made a small mistake going down into turn 12. That's really all that was, and I'm sure you'll hear him say that as well. But the two Yosh guys fighting early allowed this guy to kind of conserve some things and keep his bike underneath him, I think.
Well, let's go down to Hannah then and find out what Tony has to say.
Really hard-fought race for you, Tony. Battling it out with Cameron there. Made a little bit of a mistake. How are you feeling about a second-place finish today?
Well, today we could be 1 and 2 for Suzuki. We lose a lot of time. Joshua was there, and it was difficult to pass him. But all that, with all of that, Cameron arrived, and he did an amazing job coming from 11th position. So congratulations to him. But today I'm really happy. Could be 0 points. I saved the crash in the last corner. I mistake, but learning things for tomorrow and for the future. So thanks to my team for all the hard work.
Congratulations. Thank you, Tony.
Sit there and you hear what he says, Greg, and he was having a hard time passing Josh at the beginning. Josh was running a great pace. I think Tony felt like he wanted to get by, but those two guys just playing around allowed Cameron to arrive. You heard him say that. Once that happens, then you have to start thinking as the lap's worn down, where can I go by? Where can I make the pass? He chose to try to do it in turn 12, a place that we've seen these two guys have some battles in the past. And you can see the rear of the bike hopping around there. This was a time when he made it through that corner. This is the time he didn't make it through the corner. But right when he says it could have been 0 points, that's what he means. It could have been really easy for that bike to get away from Tony. He did a tremendous job. You can see he even knows it. He's happy with those 20 points.
Well, for this guy, an incredible run. He was in the mix the entire day. Missed it by 1,000th of a second. Let's go down to Hannah with JD Beach.
First podium for you with the Superbike in MotoAmerica and with the Attack Performance team. You missed that second place just by a hair there at the line, but you got to be feeling pretty good right now. Tell us about it.
Man, I'm feeling amazing. That was awesome. Man, I just got to thank my attack performance, Essendon Racing Bike. Man, I definitely wasn't expecting that today, and we just got off to a great start. And the whole attack crew has been working really hard this weekend, and just gave me a great bike. And oh man, I'm so pumped. I mean, to get on the podium and run with the front guys was awesome. And I mean, I just hope Garrett and Josh are okay, and they can fight with us tomorrow. And I mean, I'm really looking forward to the race tomorrow and see what we can do.
There you have it, folks. A very happy JD Beach in third place.
What a way to kick off a race. I don't know what you call it. He's got 8 races in a row, and this was the first one of 8 race weekends in a row for JD Beach, and he kicks it off the way he wants to with a podium. We'll take a break. On the other side of this one, more coming at you from Road Atlanta right here on Fox Sports. Riders starting to celebrate after a great EBC Brakes Superbike class race. Cameron Beaubier enjoying the spoils. Great to see JD Beach in the class.
JD owes me money.
He does?
Yeah,
Why?
because he said he wasn't going to put it on the podium for the first couple rounds. And I told him specifically that I might have some wagers out there that I need to think about. And he just goes and puts it in third right off the bat. So I'm going to have to go down there and have a little chat with him. But, you know, I think that you said it right before we went to break, Greg. He's got 8 weekends in a row between his road racing and his dirt track stuff. Pretty incredible amount of work he's got to put in over the next 8 weeks. So good way to get it started.
Today's coverage has been brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the 2019 MotoAmerica Championship. Well, Jason Pridmore, I think it's time that we show everyone the results of this amazing race number 1. Man, we saw some stuff. Cameron Beaubier takes a 2.7-second victory over Tony Elias. JD Beach actually finished just a thousandth of a second behind Matthew Schultz. David Anthony on that Kawasaki in 5th spot. Tip of the cap to the Fly Racing ADR Motorsports rider out of California. He's actually Australian. Aussie Dave.
Yes,
Kyle Wyman on that Ducati. Yes, Ducatisti on that V4R, 6th place. Jake Lewis, amazing M4X Star Suzuki. Jake Gagne in his return on the Shy-B Racing BMW, just trying to get data in 7th. And then Cameron Peterson. 9th place for Cam Peterson on the Omega Moto Yamaha.
Yeah, really good to see Cameron back in here. And you talked about Gagne getting some information as well as getting healthy. That's going to be the thing for him.
Yeah. Jeff May, local rider, in his one-off in 10th. Max Flinders in 11th. And on down, you can see Heron, Gerloff, and Leon not finishing. Let's take a look at some highlights from the race. Jason?
Well, it was a good start, Greg, and it looked like right off the bat that the two Yoshimura Suzuki guys were going to try to do something together and get away. But JD Beach had thoughts of his own to lead his first Superbike race in a while into turn 1. As these guys got by, and then next thing you know, Gerloff maybe just getting a little distracted by where other guys were braking and stuff, just outbraked himself ever so slightly, hit that big bump, and then Heron takes a shot at Tony as they go down into turn 10, and this was something that we were going to see over and over for a while. Both Yost riders kind of battling with each other and allowing the rest of the field to kind of sit there with them. And then you saw Josh Heron tip off, lose the front himself in that turn 10 area. Luckily, he was okay. And then we had Tony and Cameron, and we've seen this battle a lot in the past, haven't we, Greg? We've seen it a ton. And these guys went back and forth. Finally, Cameron goes by with 3 to go, goes down underneath Tony from that big, long back straightaway. And as they come back under here, Tony just tries to cut it back up underneath him, going into turn 12, outbrakes himself a little bit. Lucky to save it. Could have. Every time I see it, I keep thinking that it could have ended a lot worse for him. Cameron Beaubier comes across the line with a great victory today for him and that Yamaha team. Now, the thing is, he's going to have to do it all over again tomorrow, isn't he? He's going to have to come from that 4th row again. And then the race at the line was really close between JD Beach and Tony Elias, with Elias just edging out and collecting that 20 points. And you can see Tony even felt like, yeah, I was a little bit lucky there. But again, big number 1 plate. Championship's got to come through Cameron Beaubier this year.
Oh, by the way, it's the first time since Tony Elias came to the series where he didn't win the first 2 races of the year.
Is that right? Are you doing homework again, are you?
A little bit on the homework. Here's the championship standings. As we pay, there's 1 race in the books, 25 points for first, 20 for second, and you can see on down the list. So JD Beach walks away with 16 for his effort. David Anthony, 11 points for 5th spot on that Kawasaki. And as we go through the list, 9th place gets 7, and then it goes after 5th place, just 1 on 1 on 1. You got to finish the race to score points, so San Bernardino will collect 3 as Josh Heron, Garrett Gerloff, and Michael Leon never got to the line. So not really minus 20, 20, they're minus 25 behind the leader at this point.
Yes.
And so with that 0 score, so they're 25 points behind. All right. There's EBC Brakes Superbike Championship standings. We will take another break here on Fox Sports. On the other side, more coming at you from Road Atlanta, so don't touch the dial.